Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're tuning into another episode of 20 Tim Minutes. I am your host, Tim McCarthy. Today we have on Harvard graduate, ADHD coach, and a predominant figure in the TikTok game, Aron Croft. Aron, how the hell are you?
I am fucking great, dude. Thank you for asking. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know when
We
we,
started early with the F bombs. We
I
just we
know,
didn't even we didn't warm up into it. We just dove right in.
and you have a sense of humor like me. And when you replied back to me, like, yeah, this is a non-swearing podcast, right? And I was like, is he serious? And you just got me. Not many people get me, but you got me in that one. For people that don't know, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Before we jump into your life and your story, how would you describe ADHD to somebody that doesn't know what it is?
That is a phenomenal question, Tim. So how I would describe it would be, personally. So I have the inattentive presentation. So I would describe it like if you imagine trying to work on a computer and you're working on, say, an important document, but then there's just constant pop-ups going on, constant things going on. It slows down your computer. It closes the file you're working on. You got to reopen it. And it's just, this ability to choose to work on, say, that report is just massively hampered by this computer that is not doing what you want it to. So that's my experience, and a lot of people with the inattentive symptoms. It's a little bit different when we look at the hyperactive impulsive side of things, and I could at least tell you what I've heard from experts in that area.
Perfect. We'll get down there. I always feel like I describe it in my own mind because I'm very dumb. That I feel like I'm Doctor Strange with all these different avenues. I'm like, this is going to happen. And I try to connect it and think of like all these different scenarios. Then all of a sudden, 8 hours have passed. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And just trying to juggle everything. So, yeah, this is going to be a great interview. I'm probably going to have a million questions just for my sake, you know?
Yeah, sweet.
So now to get to where you were today as a pretty successful human, with someone with ADHD as well, it wasn't easy, but you managed to use that ADHD as your advantage and control because you are an ADHD coach. Can we talk about the events that led up to that, and then we'll try to dive into what an ADHD coach actually does?
Sure. Yeah. So the events that led up to it weren't very pretty. I could take you back to being 33 years old and moving into a shared house with four other acquaintances. And so I'm upstairs and I'm unpacking my post-divorce suitcase. So newly divorced, unpacking the suitcase, and Billy comes and flops down on my king size bed. Billy's a 26-year-old tech support analyst from Vietnam, and he doesn't seem to think that there's anything weird about it. And then that's when it hit me. Billy didn't flop down on my king size bed. He flopped down on his half of our shared king size bed because that was all that I could afford at that point in my life.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a wake up call.
Yeah. Wouldn't be able to
uh,
sleep like that. I'd be like, wait, we're sharing this?
yeah, yeah. Fortunately, we were both relatively skinny, and we both kept to the edges. So it felt comfortable, but it was a wake up call. And so really, kind of around that same time, I went and got a master's degree in coaching psychology, which I told my mom and other people it was because I really wanted to be a coach. But truthfully, Tim, it was just that I wanted to figure my own shit out. Like I just wanted to figure out why my entire effing life I wanted to do stuff and I couldn't get myself to do it. Like that's fucked up. How can I not get myself to do something that I want to do? Aren't I the same person? Yeah. So anyway, so I went and got that degree. That was super helpful. But then and anyway, so the Billy experience really kind of lit a fire under me, and I got a better paying job because at that point I was earning minimum wage. And so I got a better paying job, and I lasted in that job 7 months. But the only reason I left after 7 months was because I got an even better paying job. And in the better paying job, 3 months in, history repeats itself. And they call me in and they say, look, Aaron, everyone loves you. You're charming, you're delightful, this and that, but your work kind of sucks. I'm like, oh shit, like they're kind of right. So my boss says, like I'm under new hire probation still because I'm only 3 months in. There's like a 6 month new hire probation. And my boss says, you just have to like redo all the work that you've done the last few months for the client, like get them, upgrade it, but you can't do it during business hours because you need to do other stuff during business hours. So you have to just stay late and do this for like a week or two. And like Tim, I was out of gas. Like I was just impressed that I was showing up, for a 9 to 5 job every day.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have another gear of like stuff left in the tank. So I did what then no one should do. But I didn't know any better. I just thought I was trying to stay late for 2 nights. So I had a friend who socially had mentioned that he takes Adderall, and it like helps him stay up late going to bars. And at that point I was still single, and going to bars late. And so I just called him up. I'm like, dude, I need to stay late at work. And I've heard you mention this Adderall thing. I've never tried it before, but like, you got to help me. I'm going to get fired. And he's like, I can't. Anyway, I pushed really hard and he relented. And long story short, when I got to work on that Monday and I took the Adderall, like kind of midday, because I wanted it to last till the evening, because I didn't know how long this shit lasted. I just thought that was when you do it. I had the weirdest experience.
Really?
I walked around and I came back and I sat down at like my desk and I was working on these like boring spreadsheets and PowerPoint slides. And like 10 minutes later, I just look up and I'm still working on this thing. And I was like, oh my God, like I can focus on command. I can actually work on something that's boring as shit because I should and because I have to. Like, this is what people have been talking about my whole life when they're like, Aaron, just sit down and do the work. And it was like, I finally understood it the way that like a blind person who gets sight understands like what seeing the color purple is. Like, oh, this is what people meant all those years when they kept saying, dude, it's just purple, check it out. So yeah, it opened my eyes. I did a bunch of research after that and like had a psychiatrist appointment and got diagnosed.
Yeah, I feel like that's the same route as me. I'm still on Adderall. I love it. It is like a lifesaver. I've been on like so many like different milligrams where I can just like sometimes I take it and then I go right to bed. I'm like, yeah, this isn't working anymore. I gotta up these doses. So are you still prescribed it, or are you still on that, or what?
Yeah, I moved off of Adderall into Ritalin, and then from there I tried Concerta, and then from there I tried Vyvanse, and so now I'm on 30 milligrams of Vyvanse with instant release Ritalin. Like I can take up to 2 5 milligram tablets a day, which is like what's called a rescue dose when I need like kind of that extra focus.
You have like the infinity gauntlet of ADHD medicine of all of them.
Totally. I'm like, my psychiatrist is so pissed at me, like, because I'm just like, I don't know what I don't know. So I want to like try the different medication because what if it just is like mind-blowingly better?
Yeah,
So
and everybody's different with their medicines too. What
right.
works for you might not work for me, and people kind of lose sight of that, and they like take someone else's suggestions. You're like, well, I'll try it.
Totally.
Now, with schooling to become an ADHD coach, what is that like?
Yeah. So there are a lot of different routes. My route was the Master of Science that I did in coaching psychology, which was intensive, like really in the evidence-based research, really looking at like the science of motivation, goals, behavior change. And we did a lot of hours of one-on-one coaching as part of it. And then, so that was my coaching training. And then also just a lot of personal experience and research. And then honestly, I mean, coaching's not that different than riding a bike. I mean, when you go through all your training, it's then like ultimately you just got to do it. And like a lot of my clients have come to me because they've seen the results that I've produced with other clients. So like, and I can share some crazy stuff with you, but yeah, so that's one route. Other people do no formal training and just kind of have life experience. And then other people, like, you know, there's plenty of firms that'll take your money to train you to be a life coach or train you to be an ADHD coach. And, you know, other people go down those routes.
What is a consultation with you like?
It's pretty non-existent because I've closed off my one-on-one coaching practice just because it's full, and I've switched to this like really cool group coaching program that I'm beta testing right now with 16 people, and then I think it's actually better than my one-on-one coaching. But
Now, why is that? Because you think group projects are better than one-on-ones?
So I did this really fascinating exercise that a coach told me to do. So I'm a huge fan of coaching. I have multiple coaches that I pay. I've got therapists as well. So I'm a huge fan of like a support team. I kind of call it like a pit crew for ADHDers. And I mean, it's great for anyone, but especially for ADHD. So, you know, I'm looking over at my whiteboard here because I did kind of this exercise of looking at all the pieces of what I do with one-on-one clients. And I one tried to emulate all the pieces that are working really well, but then I also had to be honest and say, what's missing with my one-on-one clients? And one of the things that's missing is, even though I get daily emails, texts, updates from people, there's an element of accountability that a group can provide a higher level. So in my group coaching beta test, people are basically committing to one tough task a day on one goal that they're committed to for the length of the program, which is going to be somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks. And they've got a group. There's a software platform where they're committing to that one tough task. And so and we've got like gamification, they earn points, and we've also got like people checking if they don't do it. And their teams earn points. They've got little teams that kind of compete head to head each week. But that's a higher level of, did you come up with a tough task today, and did you follow through? That's a higher level than I'm doing. Yes, you could text and email me, but if you don't text and email me, I don't have I'm not tracking down one of 20 clients to be like, where's your stuff? So it's just a little bit, it's more accountability, and there's a peer group dynamic that brings kind of competition, social accountability, you know, sort of like hive mind, like crowdsourced ideas. It also brings a little bit of fun competition and camaraderie. And also, like, for ADHD, so many people feel so alone. And to be honest, and I've been there too, like, they feel broken. There's like, everything else is so much effing easier for everybody else. And it takes me an hour to do an expense report, you know, and like it really cuts into their confidence. And so just kind of having that community aspect is going to be really helpful for people.
That'd be helpful for me because in high school, it was like I was undiagnosed, but everyone knew I had it. And I just felt like I didn't know that they weren't picking on me, but I always felt dumb in regards. I'm like, these people get it quicker than me. It's like, why aren't I getting it? And it would be super frustrating. And then I would just be defeated and just be like, all right, I got to talk my way out of this D.
Right?
You know what I mean? And
I know, but at least you're a good talker, so I'm sure that was effective.
yeah, you just got to talk your way out of it. It's the easiest way to do it. Now, with someone like me who gets defeated and lazy and like, how am I going to find productivity? Because I take my Adderall, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? I still don't want to do anything. It's like I have goals, and a lot of those goals I'm not reaching, and I feel like I'm my own worst enemy a lot of the time. Like, what would you recommend for somebody like me? We're not even recording. I'm just doing my one-on-one consultation with you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. I'll send you an invoice. So yeah, I mean, so obviously in a traditional coaching environment, I would kind of ask you a little more questions, understand where some of the gaps are for you. if you know them off the top of your head, feel free to share. If you got like a quick 30-second synopsis, like what comes up for you, and then I can.
I think I lay down, I think of like all these ideas and lists I want to do. I'm too lazy to put them into my phone. And then I'll sit there on my phone and not get up and do anything. And I'll be like, you know what? I'll start at 2 o'clock. And then I miss it because I'm on my phone. It's 2:10. I'm like, all right, 2:30. And then 3 o'clock. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. I should probably eat before I do this. So I find like these like purpose hurdles that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this guy. I forgot about this guy. So I think it's just managing my time in a way that I need to stop being lazy when I have so many good tools. Like I can just talk into my phone and be like, hey, remind me at this time. But I find it so difficult to do that. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, so I love what you said there, and that was a lot of where I was a few years ago, and I was like trying to be super efficient. I would have a few efficient hours and like a few good hours, and then I would have like some shit hours, and I would feel bad. Or maybe I have a really efficient day, and then the next day I would lose it,
Yep.
and it was so frustrating for me. And my problem is kind of like what you shared, like deep down, I'm not like I'm like lazy is like a judgment laden word, but like, lazy without the judgment laden part. Like I don't like doing hard work if I don't have to.
Yep.
Like I like it. I like it at a certain amount, just like for intellectual stimulation, but like, not at like a stressful level. And so one of the things that really was transformative for me, and it was really funny because I really relate to what you're sharing, Tim. I'm sitting in my Fortune 500 corporate job, and if you've ever been in one of these jobs or you've watched them on TV, like it's one of these things where you just kind of want to like gouge your eyes out just at all the like corporate stuff. It's just all the status reports and all the meetings and all just the BS, all the bureaucracy, all the red tape. And I'm sitting in there and I'm like, and I decided that I really wanted to pursue my lifelong love of personal development. I wanted to start creating content in the space. And this is like a year and a half ago. And even though I love like this area, this personal development area that I'm now in, and I really didn't like a lot of crap about my corporate job, every week, nothing was happening. I was trying to blog and nothing was happening. I was and it was just like, this is a problem. I've got this thing on my list every week and it never gets done.
Yep.
Yeah, we might need to change our plans or give up or do something. And so in a fit of frustration, after like over a month of this, one day I just like Googled how to be productive. And, I spent a few hours going through all the articles, everything. And I got to the end and my shoulders just sank and just felt like they had these like boulders on them. And I was just so dejected because everything that I'd read, I'd already tried. And I was like, this is not working. And at the pit of my dejection and just thinking I was gonna have to give up this lifelong goal of mine, I suddenly had this epiphany. And I was like, Aron, you have done and tried all these things, but you've never tried them all at the same time. And so I basically just put together this productivity plan, which took the concept of the 80-20 principle, right? So like find the vital few actions that are going to move the needle forward, make a big difference on your goal. And we could talk about what your goal is or one of them if you want some concrete examples. Okay, cool, great. I'm like, all right, I'm going to find those things and I'm going to ignore the trivial many things. Okay, great. And then I'm going to do work on that thing without distractions. So I'm going to start it at 45 minutes a day. I'm going to carve out 45 minutes a day and I'm going to do work with no distractions. I don't think email pop-ups and IM pop-ups, anything interrupt me, but everyone, Cal Newport, deep work, they say do work without distraction. So, all right, I'm turning off distractions. And then I'm going to schedule it first. This one's a little bit flexible. Like, obviously some people are night owls. So, if you're a night owl, scheduling it first was just helpful for a lot of people because life can't get in the way, right? So I was like, all right, I'm going to schedule it first. And then I said, and this actually was one of the biggest breakthroughs for me. I said, I'm going to honor my biological rhythm. And so one key component, and you'll find this if you Google productivity, is this concept of circadian rhythms, and that we have a peak, a trough, and kind of a mid-level recovery. And that's like 3 phases that we go through in the day. And so this was like, holy crap. Part of the lazy thing that you and I are talking about, Tim, is that we don't want to force ourselves to do shit. But here's the exciting part about the circadian rhythm that was just so game-changing for me. There's a period of the day, and for me, it's in the morning. For you, it could be in the evening. There's a period of the day where my willpower and focus are actually really high. It might be like a 2-3 hour window. So for me, it's in the morning, and actually stuff isn't that hard then. If I haven't gone into reactive mode by looking at all my emails and Twitter feeds and all these things. So if my brain isn't all muddled and jumbled, and then I can time it with my biological rhythm. So I did that, and then I added some accountability. And there's some different ways to do that. And so really those were the 5 components. And even though I told them out of order, I put those into an acronym called SMASH. Which was, just to summarize, select high leverage actions, mute distractions, add accountability, schedule it first, and honor your biological rhythm. And when I did those 5 things, and I was just like literally 45 minutes a day. And now in my coaching programs, it's 30 minutes a day. And that was 5 days a week. And I just built the habit of doing a high leverage, an 80-20, a hard thing every day. All of a sudden, it was manageable, but I was making progress. And progress, Teresa Amabile at Harvard Business School has found in the progress principle and some HBR articles, is the biggest motivator there is. And so it just sort of like unlocked a whole new level of productivity for me for my clients.
It's almost like you can't change bad habits. You need to form just new good habits.
I do agree with you that forming new good habits is essential, but dude, I had a ton of fucking bad habits that I had to change, and I got good at changing those.
All right, that's good. I need to do that. I think with me, it's like I don't hold accountability for myself. I'll be like, I get too worried that I'll miss a call, or if I do what you do and shut everything, all the noise down, then I'm going to miss something, and I get anxious, and then I look and there's nothing, and then I just fall down a deep dark hole Googling the history of pro wrestling, and then I'm like, where the hell did my day go?
Exactly. No, dude, I'm with you. And I'm the same way. And a lot of people are the same way. And I love what you said there. And also just as an ADHD, or so, one thing that I always tell my clients and group coaching participants is that literally we're unreliable for holding ourselves accountable. We can't be the one to hold ourselves accountable. And that took me a while to come to grips with, because I don't know about you, but accountability was a bad word in my book, because so many goals that I'd pursued my entire life were someone else's goals, right? My parents wanted me to do school, and my ex-wife wanted me to do certain things. And but once it was accountability on my goal, on something that I cared about, that I wanted to create, all of a sudden that was freaking awesome. But I avoided it until then because I thought it was scary.
Yeah, being scared is so tough in our situation, because you're like, yeah, if I make this decision, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Am I going to die, or will I keep living? It's like you just think of all these scenarios and you just don't want to go for it. So yeah, I know exactly what you're picking. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down, my friend.
Yeah, you are.
Now, what is the biggest misconception you think is with ADHD?
I think the biggest misconception, and obviously I'm telling it from my perspective, but biggest misconception is that it's just a bunch of hyper 6-year-old boys.
Yep, that's what they say to anyone that's a parent. I feel like they always be like, "Oh yeah, he just has ADHD." I'm like, "No, maybe he's just a 5-year-old."
Yeah, right, exactly. And like, but what happens, this happens for a lot of women, and it happens for people with like the inattentive presentation, or people that just manage to use their wiles and charms and natural test taking ability to get good grades, is they go undiagnosed, but also they don't even think to get diagnosed. Like, honestly, if I hadn't had that Adderall experience, in a million years, I never would have researched ADHD and noticed that so many of the symptoms related to me, and met with a psychiatrist who was like, how the fuck did you live until now and not get diagnosed? Um, and yeah, it's just like the image of ADHD, of just like these off the wall, like 6-year-old boys, is confusing to a lot of people that don't have that manifestation or presentation of it. So I'd say that would probably be the biggest misconception in my experience.
You're pretty. I feel like you're getting pretty predominant with what you're doing, and people can find you and know you. But when you meet somebody new, do you always apologize for your ADHD in a way? Because I have trouble making eye contact with somebody, and I'm like, hey, I'm not making eye contact with you because I'm not paying attention. It's just like, I'm probably paying attention to everything right now, and it's like I feel like that's one of my biggest weaknesses. But I'm so personable, and then someone said this to me, like, you can tell me one thing, and like, yeah, I'll believe it. They're like, oh, $20 bills are bad luck to have in your wallet. So I'm like, I'm never carrying a $20 bill in my pocket. So someone told me that if someone's feet are pointing at you, that means they're mostly engaged. But if they're like their body language, so I try to read somebody from head to toe while they're talking, then I forget their name, and I'm like, holy shit, his feet are going this way. I'm looking at my feet, and then they're already walking away. I'm like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's my biggest like issue with that. Would you have like certain issues that you apologize for with new people?
Oh, I love that, dude. I'm so happy that you said that. And if anyone's watching the video version of this interview, like, I've made eye contact with the camera and with Tim like for maybe like 15% of the time,
Yeah, yeah, same. I'm always just
because it is so effing distracting, and I lose my train of thought. Probably because I try to like mind read what you're thinking, or like anything. And I love that you said that. And I think a lot of ADHDers can relate to that. Certainly I can. So, do I apologize? I think I was awkward socially my whole life. And we tend to retreat to our strengths. And so my strength was kind of being an analytical nerd. And I'm like, let me study and figure out how to interact with people. And then let me practice interacting. So I think that I learned the behaviors of someone that appears extroverted and confident. But it was only until a few years ago that I actually was even remotely comfortable interacting with people and being authentic. So I don't think that I apologized, because I was just kind of felt like I was putting on like a performance of like cocktail party Aaron.
right. Right, right. It's like a magician with your eyes, just looking all the way around. Like I would use it in my sense of like making people laugh. I felt like I would always like I've been called I'm very animated. I feel like you would probably call that at one point. We're very, like we're walking cartoon characters. I feel like, and you can sense it pretty easily if someone does know about it. And then there's that crowd, usually the older crowd. They're like, oh, this guy's being super disrespectful, and I'm like, no, I can't pay attention to you right now. There is an arcade behind you. There's someone doing backflips. I need to look at all of this and do all of it right now. But it's super funny that, and something like coaching with you, like I don't know how you do that. That's pretty impressive. I feel like I couldn't coach anybody because I would just keep trailing off.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like for some reason, it just, because it's like one person and it's so intense, I almost hyper focus on them.
Yeah.
Like, and so yeah, I was worried about that too, to be honest. And like I have one client who sometimes can't connect on video, and it's just a phone call. And I find that so much
Yeah.
harder.
Oh yeah. It's that's very difficult. I saw that you went to or you going to like it's like an ADHD like convention or something. Like in my head, I just picture what that looks like, and it probably doesn't look like anything I think it does. But it's just like funny having a bunch of ADHDers in the crowd with someone speaking and like just not paying attention. It's just like everyone playing pinball at the same time.
Totally. Yeah. It's very, very hard to get things started on time.
I need to go to one of those. I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna figure it out how to get there and just and contribute nothing.
Love it.
Um, Now you're pretty successful on TikTok. I see you have like 111,000 followers, and it's pretty good. I'm not even just saying that because you're on my show. I was showing people at work, and like, oh, this dude's like legit fucking funny, and you nail it a lot. There was one of my favorite videos that you have, and it was actually like randomly I just clicked it, and it was you waiting in line at like the pharmacy and like looking at things, and then you walk out with your meds, like you make sure you don't drop them, and that happened to me like earlier in that day, which was so weird. And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to get this guy on because some people don't nail it like that. Like it's funny that you're like, wow, people live the same life I do. It's like as original as we are, we all share like the same DNA and makeup. Like we both have ADHD, and anyone that is watching it, they can fucking sense it or see it. But yeah, how did you get popular on that? And I feel like that's a tough thing to get by, but not really because a lot of people do have mental health issues, and I know there's a problem like that. But how did you know that you started to pick up on that?
Yeah. I mean, lots of really, really intelligent strategy. No, dude, a lot of it was, just being in the right place at the right time. So, look, I think a lot of it stems to even my decision to participate in the ADHD personal development space, which is, and this is like, honestly, the number one success tip for anyone with ADHD is to find stuff that you would do regardless, that you love to do, because we're not going to win. We're not going to beat other people with our willpower and discipline. In our careers. The only way that we're going to have any fighting chance to succeed is that what we do for work is enjoyable. It doesn't feel like work. And for me, like, I just love personal development. I love behavior change. And like, I read that shit on the weekends for fun. I read it on vacation. Like, I study it obsessively, probably because I couldn't figure out how to get myself to do shit my whole life. But whatever the reason, I just love it. And so, to that end, I've been making 6 months worth of YouTube videos, like pumping out 2 videos a week consistently for like fucking crickets, dude.
Yeah,
Like I mean, the people that were following me were like, dude, your shit's awesome. But the rest of the people were like not finding me. And that's really hard. But fortunately, I wasn't doing it for the outcome. I was doing it for the process. And so then I then just started posting on TikTok, and I was like, I had a lot of content because I already made so many YouTube videos.
yeah.
So at first I was just kind of recycling stuff I already had and just trying it in different formats. And, like, I don't know, I was the youngest kid, and like, I like being the center of attention. I like making people laugh. And TikTok really lets you use all of those aspects if that's something that resonates with you, which obviously would resonate with you, Tim. And so, yeah, it just, it was fortunate and lucky. And, I'm super grateful that my stuff resonated with that audience. And, I get awesome messages, every day from people that tell me what a difference it's made to them. So I'm very blessed in that respect.
Yeah, it's very cool. And you're very animated too in that. You look like a cartoon character when you're dancing and pointing at your stuff at the beginning. So I love it. I love it. That's how you
Right?
caught my eye. Like, you know what you're doing, obviously. Now, fucking TikTok can be a toxic wasteland. I have a couple viral videos that were on there. Like, one's like my cat where I gave like an edible to, and he's like looking all, I didn't really give him an edible. It just looked like he did. And then I have one about like my ancestry, but enough about me. Now, what is like one of the worst shit that someone said to you on there? That hits you. I know everyone's like, oh yeah, you just gotta brush away the negativity. Deep down, we remember negativity. We're always like, fuck that guy.
I mean, I think to be 100% honest, and this kind of comes a little bit to the M and smash of muting distractions,
Yep.
as well as the S and smash of selecting those high leverage 80/20 actions. I started delegating the reading, hearting, and responding to comments to my virtual assistant.
Oh.
So I honestly haven't read a ton of the negative stuff, but I know things that I've seen. One of them is like, you're telling us the problem, but where's the solution? And that frustrates me, because I have, hundreds of, I don't know if it's hundreds, but I have hours, dozens of hours at least. I have to do the math if it's hundreds, but like I have so much free content up there.
Yeah.
And there's even stuff on my TikTok channel about solutions. But the videos that get the most traction are the ones where I let people know, not the DSM, the diagnostic manual description of ADHD, like forgets things easily. But I let people know, not the dry academic thing, but what that fucking looks like in real life.
Yeah.
And when I talk about the translation from the theoretical to the concrete, people really resonate. So I talk about leaving crap out on every available surface. I talk about having multiple false starts when leaving the house. I talk about these things, and people really feel connected to it. But then occasionally I do get the hate comments of, don't talk about the problem, give us the solution. And my answer is, check out my YouTube channel or my other TikTok videos where I talk about the solutions, and get off my ass. But
Yeah, I'm more petty on TikTok. I'm always just pretty much telling people to go fuck themselves, or just find something about their page and give it back. Again, I'm super petty. That's why I don't post on TikTok anymore. People made fun of me for one of my videos, and I just spent hours just clapping back at everybody, because I just don't like being talked shit to. But the thing with TikTok too, I always talk about this in my episodes, and my listeners probably fucking hate it now, is like I hate the whole social media, like Instagram, TikTok, of like, you're an educated Harvard graduate who master in science and coaching psychology. You know what you're talking about. You live it. You're like me. You're very authentic, honest, and you're smart. But then there's these stupid idiots that think they know, because like they fall into that like DSM category where it's like, yeah, I'm quirky and I can't pay attention. This is what I do. I take these meds, or go out and do this. And it's like, that might not work for somebody that's very impressionable on that. And like, that's where like the darkness of that, where I always talk about these kids or whatever. Sometimes I see adults where they like reenact like the terrible moments in their life. I'm like, I don't need to see a reenactment of like you having a fucking breakdown in a Home Depot. And it's like it's like breaking the stigma, and then they pick it back up and put it together to showcase that it's cool to have like a mental health disorder, and it drives me fucking bananas. What do you think about
Uh,
it? It's tough.
you're probably not going to believe this, Tim, but again, this kind of comes down to the, like, just limiting our focus, right? Because so many ADHDers, myself included, have shiny object syndrome, and we want to do 20 projects at once. Like, I literally have 7 different books that I'm reading / listening to, because I mostly just listen to audiobooks, like currently at any one time. And it's really hard to focus. But I really focus, and I work with my clients and group coaching people to just focus on one goal at a time, and to just keep knocking away at it every single day, that small 30 or 45 minutes. So all that preamble is to say, Tim, that I actually don't even go on TikTok and watch these videos. I haven't even seen them that you're talking about. So there's a difference, right? And if we look at your TikTok goal, right? Like, dude, you are a fucking riot. Like, you are like, you're so good on stage. Like, you're so animated, your clothing, everything, like your background. Like, I'm against this like off-white piece of shit background. And like, you've got all this swag, you're funny, you're high energy, and you would like, but there's a difference between posting on social media, which is your high leverage action, your 80/20, you know, the S in smash that you would focus on. Reading the comments, that's a separate action. And you could just not even read any of them. And if you just posted, that would move your stuff forward. So yeah, so short answer is I am a content producer, not a content consumer.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to get on your level because you make a lot of sense and I can't like fight it because you're right. But yeah, I drive myself crazy. No one else drives me crazy. I drive myself crazy and I drive other people crazy. And like, and I always feel like that too because I know like I'm really not, but just the way that I am because we are a lot to handle sometimes. You're like, hey man, I'm really exhausted, and what you're doing right now is very exhausting.
I know, right? And but the really funny thing, and like it almost feels a little bit like I shouldn't even say it, is like literally, I mean, you know, I've got 20 plus one-on-one coaching clients, and they'll all like come to their first session or two, and like they'll describe what they're going through, and it's, I mean, it almost sounds dumb, but like it's the same thing in almost every case. And it's exactly what you said. I got the shit I want to do that's important, and I'm not reliable and consistent on moving it forward. And that's it. And like, but everyone feels like they're the only one that's stuck in that thing. And I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, if every single person is in the same thing, then if I can address this problem, then I can support a lot more people than people that can, you know, just afford one-on-one coaching. Because I just couldn't believe it. Like I figured I'd have like a range of people all over the continuum, but like, nope, it was all clustered on I've got shit I want to do and I procrastinate, I avoid it, I self-sabotage, I start doing something else, I get distracted, I have emergencies, whatever the shit is, but it was always the same thing. And you're no different.
So we might have already went over this in passing, and you might have answered that. But what is your favorite thing about having ADHD? If you had to take a positive out of it,
If I had to take a positive out of it, I'm gonna pick two.
of course,
So
typical.
yeah, I can't pick one. Don't make me decide, Tim.
Yeah.
I would say the first one is being really clever at finding really efficient solutions to things. So like because I could never just put in the hours and the hard work on stuff, I got really good at finding like the shortest possible path to achieve an outcome. So that's one, and I use that to this day. And then the second is the other gift is I'm like introverted by nature, and you know, left to my own druthers, like I might just be a hermit somewhere, but ADHD doesn't allow that. So to have a fulfilling, successful life with ADHD requires other people, and I feel like that's a gift. And the way it requires other people, it's things like body doubling, and you know, having other people around when you're trying to do things. Uh, we tend to have working memory limitations, which is the reason that I've invested over $20,000 this year in my coaching in coaches that I've hired, because when you have another person talk about with an idea, you have their working memory, plus you have kind of the space and the notes that both of you are taking. And so you go from like this sort of 1986 like Commodore computer to like this supercomputer where you have all this processing power to figure out these awesome plans. And yeah, so it's just, you know, you need other people with ADHD, and for someone like me that would avoid people, it's a gift to not have that option.
I'm an extrovert at nature, so it's like my superpower when I go out because I'm like just putting on a show, putting on the Ritz. Um,
Yeah, dude. No, you're super charming and engaging.
oh my man, you too. You're a handsome bald devil as well. I just hide mine with my hat, which you can buy at 2010minutes.com.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at that plug. Let's finish with this. I like to ask all my guests this: if Aron Croft was a ADHD pro wrestler and he comes out to the arena, what song would be playing for you, my friend?
What song are you playing for me coming out as a pro wrestler? Um, I'm gonna say, what's the name of that song? Oh man, now I'm blanking on it.
Yep,
The
that
sheer
song.
pressure of it.
Sing it. Now you have to
Um,
sing it if you don't know it.
yeah, I mean, it would probably be a Kelly Clarkson or a Rachel Patton song.
I
What was that
like it.
Rachel Patton song? Like her one big song.
You're such a fan of Rachel Patton.
Yeah, apparently.
What's
I
was it?
mean,
White Lotus? No, no.
no.
I'm looking up the wrong person here. I don't know. You got to sing it now.
That you really don't want to happen. Oh, fight song.
Oh yeah, this
Rachel
is my
Rachel
fight song.
Platten. That would be pretty cool. I really like that. Although there is a Kelly Clarkson song that I'm really trying to like remember
Stronger,
right now. Which one?
stronger.
Oh, no, something that would get me more beaten up than that.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
so like clearly I've really thought this. Oh, clearly I really thought this through.
The ADHD guy can't
Oh,
think of one answer. That's his. That sums up this interview. Oh
yeah.
shit. All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to
Oh,
the.
maybe breakaway. That sounds right.
You know what? We'll have both of them come out and walk you down the arena.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get beaten up for having Rachel Platten or Kelly Clarkson for me.
That's the most
But
gangster
that's
ass
my
shit.
jam. Like I like cheesy pop music.
I see. I'm a
You know
huge
what I'm saying?
Kesha stan. Kesha's my girl. I went down to
Yeah.
DC. Yeah,
Oh,
I
so
had to
good.
cancel. I canceled our interview because I had to go down to DC to go see Kesha. So Kesha's more
Ah,
important than you.
there you go.
Oh shit. All right, then I end with this, my friend. Three things that you're grateful for today.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, one, your interview. I mean, it's a blessing for me to get a chance to share my story with the world, and doing podcasts is something I always wanted to do. Two, my assistant. I have an amazing assistant in the Philippines who, like, I mean, she did so much crap today that my ADHD brain would have had trouble with.
Right.
And like, it's just like awesome, like hand off. I do the stuff I'm good at and I hand the rest to her. And my group coaching participants. So when I quit my Fortune 500 job in July and started this coaching journey, my goal was always to do group coaching, because one, I think it can be way more effective than individual coaching, and two, it's just more affordable. So I can reach more people, impact more people, help more people get shit done that otherwise would kind of just be spinning their wheels. So I'm just so grateful to my group coaching participants that are going with me in this test run, because we're going to launch this like huge New Year's big group coaching program to a bunch of people, and it's going to be freaking awesome. And that's always what I wanted to do. And so I'm just so grateful to them and to everyone that's enabled me to get to this point so far.
Fantastic. Aaron, where can everyone find you on the internets? Websites, social medias? Where
Just
do you want them to
yeah,
find you?
yeah. Just Google hidden ADHD. Hidden kind of refers to those of us that are a little bit less hyperactive and less obvious. So,
Mm.
and then ADHD is obvious, and you just Google that and you'll run into the TikToks and the websites and the YouTubes, and my smiling bald head.
Takes one to know one, pal. I like that. Aaron Croft, thank you so much, my man. This was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can talk soon again.
Thanks, Tim. This was a blast.
See ya. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. If you are feeling suicidal, please dial 911.